Go.
Good morning, world from Singapore. I am Amar Asrani, your host again for ARR Voices. This is our fourth episode. To some of our friends who have been encouraging us for this talk show, uh, very much thank you to them. And a recap that uh, we have spoken about three subjects earlier. Our first episode was about mindfulness. Our second episode was about relationships. Our third episode was about mother tongue. And for today, we will touch the topic, very much a relative and ongoing topic of lifelong learning. This is an humble attempt to reach everyone on general life situations and learning processes for self growth and prosperous life as whole. As usual, we have three panelists that we had been seen earlier. All are accomplished professionals and wish to contribute with their abundance knowledge. And to start with, I would give a brief introduction of our first panelist, Dr. Ram. Dr. Ram, who is currently a founder and a managing director of ACE International Private Limited Singapore, business management and research innovation consultation services. A brief history that he has been a biomedical scientist holding a PhD in animal science on the topic of contraceptive vaccine trial in animal model, received from Bharati Darshan University, Tiruchirappalli, India in 2002, and has 6 years of postdoctoral experiences in cancer and stem cell research areas. But before I go to Dr. Ram, I would like to start the topic with a quote that lifelong learning is no longer a luxury, but a necessity for employment. This is a must. As a child, we learn to talk, we learn to ride. As an adult, we are learning some apps on smartphone and also learning how to cook a new dish. So to enhance more on the lifelong topic, I invite Dr. Ram to give us his insight and his PPT presentation as usual, and enhance our knowledge with daily learning. Dr. Ram.
Thank you, Amar. Good morning to all friends and the panelists, Mr. Arunji and Dr. Raji. It's a great time when come on screen to speak to the audience with the useful topic, how to live their life. It is always indeed happy and giving a kind of thought process or thought-provoking attitude in my mind when speaking about learning or education, because it is having its own vibrant capacity to transform any personal or any personality into a great person or personality. So the magic behind is the knowledge, wisdom, the skill sets, the attitude. How do we able to procure? It is through only the ecosystem of education and the learning behaviors. As usual, I wish to share my slides. May I get the sharing host? Can you add me as
Oh,
co-host?
oh, sorry. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
So the way lifelong
Yeah,
learning also coming to play
you
in
can
the
share.
role, because as of now the systematic changes, the systematic new adoptions, we must need to continue the learning aspects for lifelong manner. Just today we can have some kind of small uh, small thing to learn or getting the awareness or knowing about the features and the factors which are making the people how to correlate, how to cope up, how to engage the lifelong learning across in their lifetime. Myself, Dr. B. Ramanathan, I'm the founder and managing director of ACE International Private Limited, Singapore. So our main focus, the sustainable academic development, now engaging the three important factors. One is the education, where the knowledge dissemination, training, apprenticeship, ethics, or culture creations are making. The next one is the research, where the technology development or innovation or procurement of prototypes and product development, new knowledge creations are evolved. Whereas the entrepreneurship, the wealth generation, or the knowledge exploitation are happening. When the investors they are coming to invest, it is added value for this ecosystem to find out some new opportunities or develop some new ecosystem or value creations. The sustainable academic development without these three are not possible. So mainly the learning and development which is getting optimized through the new age psychometrics. How do we able to measure it? Because the learning model or the learning behaviors are entirely changing. So it is challenging many kind of ways to create the new project opportunities or making some kind of new assignments for the people. So it is practical based or experience based. So that is the way the learning is more materialistic or more measurable. That is mostly 70% of their project and assignments engagements are happening now. Whereas the relationship with the peers, peer learning, or some kind of superiors who can able to mentor or coach and guide them, that is around 20%. But the theoretical things or any kind of knowledge resources, they can learn from the classroom or coursework or any kind of particular training is 10%. So the 70 is to 20 is to 10 is the new model of the psychometrics. The difference of learning in pedagogy, andragogy, and pedagogy. So how do we embrace the learner's maturity is getting changed when they are in the children level to the adult, and then they become something like senior persons in the community. So the pedagogy is mostly deals with the children or classroom bounded learning, whereas the andragogy is adult learning and the pedagogy is the social learning. It's a small comparison between these three, pedagogy, andragogy, and pedagogy. Mostly the pedagogy is learner is dependent. They are depending on the system or the person who is teaching them. Andragogy is the adult oriented. They are mainly mostly independent, whereas the learners in pedagogy are interdependent. So this is the highly uh, for us to think about that. The learning resources also teacher-driven environment for the pedagogy, adult and teacher-controlled environment for the andragogy, and teacher and learner provided. But the learners are negotiating the pathways. They are demanding and they are persisting with the environment with their own passion. So these are all the things we can able to compare with the learning reasons and learning focus. That is also very important because subject oriented for the pedagogy, task or problem oriented in andragogy, proactive and problem oriented that is in the pedagogy. So it is a kind of way, and the teaching role for these kind of groups, it is a designer or knowledge holders who can able to guide them in pedagogy, enabler or collaborator way for the andragogy because it is keep engaged with the participants for the ecosystem in andragogy. But pedagogy is the capability builder. So now the ARR voices also a kind of way for comprehensively provide the support through the pedagogy because it is a social learning. It is the passion or it is the interest or it is the commitment, it is the contribution for the particular topic we are talking about. And in Singapore, the Workforce Development Authority has the plan to provide the lifelong learning. And how do they able to embrace? They establish the two lifelong learning institutes. One is in Kuala Lumpur, the East, and another one in the Durang East, the west side. So the Lifelong Learning Institute in Paya Lebar, they have different kind of training centers, opportunities for the people to continue their education in the adult and continuing education atmospheres. It is more towards with the vocational skill qualifications. They are having the infrastructure facilities inside the classroom. It is keep engaged with the adult learners. So they are giving more opportunity for them to practice and experience through the training and uh, coaching classes. The Devan Nair Institute at Jurong is providing the same similar kind of support for the continuing education and training opportunity. The vision of CET, the continuing education and training, the culture of lifelong learning is the peak uh, focus, whereas the relevant training programs are making them to reach with the linkages where it is available from the area or the company or who are providing the trainings under this particular umbrella. Best in class engaged institutions. That is the way the Singapore Polytechnics and the NUS, NTU, and so many institutions like SMU, they are also participating with this kind of learning supports through the WSQ frameworks. The quality training professionals are involved, the experienced people mainly, because it is more towards with the experiential learning, on-job training kind of atmospheres. So they need the experienced professionals who can come and teach as a trainer. The strong tripartite partnership, that is the main focus because we need to play around with the ecosystem of potential people. The Singapore Workforce Skill Qualification, as already I mentioned, it is a competency-based knowledge, skills, and attitude-based adult learning principles, the modular-based learning. So the modules are designed in such a way for providing the support for the organizational standards to reach and maintain. So the recognition of the prior learning atmospheres is giving the industry agreed standards, and government is providing the support for the fees or the facilities or affiliations created under the government guidelines. This is the national certification statement of attainment, and it is providing the pathway to reach up to the diploma level. So it's a small bite-sized training modules which are creating the value for the people if they are necessary to take any level, level 1 to level 6. So it is the different pathways for the capacity of the people who want to achieve the national certification credits. This is another example, the specialist diploma programs offered by the Building Construction Authority, BCA. They are providing a lot of courses under the different kind of partner or industrial partners who are affiliated to the particular program, and they are creating the value for the people to learn and develop. Many people from different backgrounds or different areas of expertise people, they wanted to learn and explore these kind of opportunities provided with the funds and the subsidies. And Singapore has this kind of approved training and testing center all over the ecosystem, and there are many players, stakeholders, they are coming to play together. And the CET 2020 atmospheres, the world of opportunity, they create more values. Ministry of Manpower is refreshing the continuing education and training with a master plan. So it is embracing the people who want to persuade their futuristic values by transforming the careers. They are focusing a lot on this kind of master plans. So the government is also creating the value for the workforces. How do they able to compete with the available tasks in the current scenario? Industry 4.0, we are all very well known about that because of the conditions, the smart nations, smart workplaces, or smart warehouses, wherever, or smart residence places. They need to create more values by adopting with the Industry 4.0. What are the automation, big data analysis, cloud computing, cybersecurity, autonomous vehicles, IoT, Internet of Things, and data management. So all these things are coming to play together for creating the value for Industrial 4.0. And these are all the disruptive challenges available with the digital transformational supports as of now. So many areas are going to evolve, like the virtual reality system, artificial intelligence supports, and uh, quantum computing kind of supports, renewable energy sources, green energy sources, and many more things, robotics, autonomous vehicles. A lot of values are going to create every day. So we must need to think and focus. How do we able to embrace these kind of opportunities, incorporate for the people who wanted to pursue their futuristic values through the lifelong learning. Global lifelong learning is making another value for the massive open online courses, MOOC. The online learning management portals and other systems are creating the conditions and supports for the lifelong learning. Especially, we can mention about the Udemy, Coursera, LinkedIn, SlideShare, and EDX platforms are more top prior people who wanted to aspirate the conditions for the lifelong learners who can able to follow with them. When comparison with the 5 online MOOC platforms, the EDX is very topper and they are brandable and they are providing customized courses and analytics and they are making more monetization. When the people who want to offer the course through them, they can get the quite number of earning capacity. It's a mobile based kind of things. The hosting is self-enabled learning atmospheres. So we can compare these kind of values with other MOOC providers. And these platforms are now creating the global values. So MOOC providers around the world, they are available cross-border kind of capacity. And these are all going to create the new values for the lifelong learning. When we are talking about that, without these kind of atmospheres, we cannot able to think and prosper. And we have to enable and enrich our smartness through lifelong learning. That is the ambition. How do we able to engage the smart, that is specific, achievable, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely bound? We are all in the environment of multitask oriented conditions as of now. So it is providing the opportunity for the people. How do they able to engage and enrich their capacity? So the lifelong learning is the important one. You have to think and procure from your surrounding sources and resources. This is the way we can able to fit in this condition and we can create more values from our side towards with the contributions. Thank you so much for your passions to listen to this. I hope it is making you to think and prosper on your ways of procuring the lifelong learning education. Thank you so much. Over to Amar.
Oh, wow. That was like opening uh, a tsunami of information. So many new words getting bombarded. I myself learned 4 new words today. Of course, I had heard them earlier. Psychometry. I was looking for the definition. What is psychometry? Uh, for the people who would like to know about psychometry, it's like the supposed ability to discover the facts about an event or a person by touching inanimate objects associated with them, the psychometrics. Okay, and what I learned again new today was pedagogy. What is pedagogy? Ram
Pedagogy is
had, yeah,
children
pedagogy. Oh, sorry,
children capacity.
children capacity. Of course, comes with the term like pediatrician, pedagogy, andragogy, and hortagogy. So these 4 new words I learned, and of course there is this MOOC, MOOC. Wow,
Mock. Mock.
yeah. So these are the acronyms that we have to be familiar with as of today. It's massive open online courses, massive open online courses. Yeah, acronyms have their new way of presentation in today's world, right from our WhatsApp age, like people saying TTYL, BRB, YOLO, FOMO, ICYMI. So I guess you must be knowing these terms. YOLO, you only live once. FOMO, fear of missing out.
Mm.
ICVMI, in case you missed it. So this is what our brain is being bombarded with every daily new update of life. So the our brain with with the short-term memory that we have to be acquainted and adapted with this new terminology. Of course, to understand more on Dr. Ram's presentation, that he has a total insight and study of how lifelong learning is so much important for the Singapore government as whole to enhance the skill of the present uh, generation to cope up with the new requirements of mobile age. And of course, a huge technology involved behind that, and many laymen like us have to understand the need and the adaptation to be step with step. So to to further talk about this, I wish now Dr. Raji to put in her info with introducing Dr. Raji. As earlier, she is uh, she is the managing director and founder of MAST, Masters Academy of Speech and Training, Singapore. Trains students bilingually to do speeches, debates, webinars, research paper presentations, etc. She has produced TV shows and provides motivational speeches in Tamil and English. So, Dr. Raji, I wish you can give a simplified term, simplified explanation of lifelong learning, because Dr. Ram's information is so updated, so much as of now. We would like to go slowly, step by step, to the level of what is required as of today. Dr. Raji.
Thank you. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, yes.
Is it on record? Sorry, recording is on. Okay. Thank you. Give me a moment, please. Well, good morning to all. And today's topic is my pet peeve, lifelong learning. Before I go further into my topic, I just want to clarify a very simple term which appears complex, that is pedagogy. Actually, pedagogy is a method and practice of teaching. That's all. Pedagogy is the method and practice of teaching as an academic subject. And it's actually a kind of, like the theoretical concept of teaching. Whereas education is different from pedagogy, because education is a process of receiving and giving instruction. This is the difference between pedagogy and education. And again, under pedagogy, there are several approaches, mainly say 5 approaches people take. And I'm not going into all of them, but at least one of them is a collaborative approach. Another one is integrative approach. Another is reflective and inquiry-based learning. And in Singapore, we also follow something called the problem-based learning, PBL, we call it. In universities, polytechnics, and everywhere, we call it PBL. Okay. I'm not dropping jargons upon you. I'm just trying to explain to you what Singapore has found it suitable as a way of teaching, way of learning, etc. Probably soon the very word teaching will lose its context, because nowadays most of the teachers and most of the lecturers are becoming facilitators rather than teachers. Again, the difference is a facilitator triggers the student's learning ability. A facilitator makes the student take in charge of his or her own learning. Whereas a teacher probably attempts to pass down his or her own knowledge to the students. This is again another basic difference. See, the moment we commit ourselves to lifelong learning, today's topic, the most valuable asset we will have is our mind and what we put into that. Just imagine any amount of gold, silver, money, whatever we have, there's a limit to that, isn't it? There is a limit to that. Whereas when we train our mind, any amount of training we give it to it, or any amount of mind forming content, and any amount of critical content we put in will never go wasted. It will be there and it will be shaping, it will be actually shaping our mind forming content. For example, probably if at the age of 10 or 12 itself, we have had some kind of wisdom like Buddha, or probably at least at the age of 15, we have some kind of basic understanding of what is learning, and we take charge of what we are doing, then automatically we become the movers and shakers, the movers and shakers of our indefinite tomorrow. See, we know that tomorrow is indefinite. Of course, it's definite from another angle, but basically it is indefinite. In such a context, what can also be quite strong is our learning attitude. The moment we understand that someone else from the Mars is not going to be the mover or shaker, you are going to become mover or shaker. I am going to become the mover or shaker. Our children, our grandchildren, maybe who are only 1 year old or 2 year old, will be the movers and shakers. Who says for becoming a mover and shaker, you have to be 40, 50, 60? No. At the age of 5 or the age of 7, they can be a mover or shaker. We don't know. It all depends upon the learning possibilities we provide for the very young children. And at slightly grown up age, the learning avenues we discover for ourselves. So this is what we should remember. The newly acquired skill we have is based on the basic skill we have to acquire is to learn. Simple, just learning. And then we have this kind of a very nasty habit of saying, oh my God, I'm already 40, I'm already 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75. What is age after all? It's just number. Yes, I do know that our body becomes old or our body becomes tired. I'm not talking about that. What I mean is, irrespective of whether you are strong or weak, whether you are sick or healthy, it doesn't matter. The habit of lifelong learning, please believe me, will make each and every human being, living human being, mentally healthy and thereby ensuring a physical health for the people who have decided to adopt it. See, the moment we start learning, initially when it is rusty, I understand there may be problem here, there, everywhere. But the moment it is oiled, rather, the moment we start training it, what becomes is the lifelong learning habit can keep a 75-year-old or 80-year-old or 85-year-old younger than a 30-year-old who has stopped learning the moment he graduated. That is the point. Because many of us, at least I hope not nowadays in Singapore, but until recently, many people in other parts of the world, they thought that the moment you finish your degree, you get an engineering degree or you get whatever science degree, mathematics degree, English degree, Tamil degree, Hindi degree, whatever. The moment you get a degree, you thought your education is over. Education is not over the moment you came out of the college. It has actually been channelized and it has started. That's all. The moment we realize it, we are going to give to other people more and more and more. You see, nowadays, every school, every college, I'm talking about really good schools and good colleges, they've started changing their approach towards learning and teaching. What was once upon a time teaching has become nowadays learning. Probably you have heard about Montessori method. You know, in Montessori method, it's a kind of teaching for very young kids. I will not use the word teaching. It actually robs its quality. In Montessori method, nothing is seriously taught. but the kids are guided gently, slightly nudged here and there to choose and learn. So soon the kids become self-dependent learners. I've come across many parents in Singapore who sit with their kids during their PSLE, that is the sixth class board exams, and then the O-level exams, and even A-level exams. A-level, they are almost 17 or 18, and the parents choose to nudge the kids, they choose to nag the kids because parents believe that without their nagging, the kids will not be able to read even A plus B whole square properly. So it's our nasty attitude that is putting a kind of a cold blanket on the very learning ability of the kids. You see, what I want to suggest is this. Learning is not for degree sake only. Learning, the moment you start learning for learning's sake, then myriad possibilities open before us. As I told before, the thing called PBL, problem-based learning, was introduced, say, about, I think, almost 20 years ago, 18, 20 years ago in Singapore. And as lecturers, we resisted, we believe it or not. In the unis, we were talking about what PBL, it's, oh my God. Then slowly we understood, oh no, it's not like that. I remember even one prof commented, oh my God, they are robbing off our significance necessarily in the classrooms. Then I realized it's not true. You know why? It's not robbing off your significance. It's actually your responsibility as a prof increases inside the class. Your responsibility as a teacher, as a lecturer, as a professor increases in the classroom atmosphere and in the school or university atmosphere the moment you start facilitating what is called a PBL. So you see, you are converting, you are badgering each student into a kind of a learner. He is kind of a self-programmed to learn. You know, like another thing is, we might have asked ourselves a question, especially quite a lot of spiritualists whom I have come across have asked me this, oh my God, what is life? You want us to acquire lifelong paper qualification forever. Who talked about it? Your understanding is warped about lifelong learning. We are not necessarily talking about paper qualification. Even paper qualification is part of it. May I know what is the disturbance in between? I'm sorry. Okay. You see, now we should know that though people generally perceive paper qualification as lifelong learning, it's about the sheer ability to train oneself to learn throughout the living moments. In other words, I personally feel that you live only through the moments you learn. The day we stop learning, the day we stop existing even. Forget about living, we stop existing. And that learning is very passive sometimes. For example, your very young daughter or your very young grandson is doing some new tricks. The moment you look at the kid, suddenly it dawns upon you, oh my God, I'm 70, but it never occurred to me to handle it this way. You get what I mean? See, these are the things that suggest to us that the possibilities of learning are myriad. And then another thing is, okay, we not necessarily need to talk about learning in terms of only altruistic attitude. Let me talk about even bread and butter. Even for that, your lifelong learning is very essential. Say, for example, you have definitely heard about IATA, called IATA. IATA qualification was considered a necessary qualification for the travel agents until a few years ago. Even now, I think travel agents throughout the world who had IATA, it is a ticketing course or something like that. The moment they qualify, they set up agencies, they hired people, and then they started doing business, and business was booming. Until when? Until your grandson, who was 6 years old, became capable of doing an online booking from wherever you are to Switzerland with the proper room booking and everything. He just told you, hey, grandpa, you know something? Don't waste your money on the agent. Come on, let me teach you how to handle this. And that day, the IATA agent became redundant in this world. And now we should understand something. There's no turning back. You see, you cannot persuade governments. You cannot persuade governments to compel that, oh my God, stop this online trading, stop this online booking because this business is seriously impacted. No, it's not going to happen. So, next scenario, you are a computer engineer. Say, for example, in 1992 or 91 or 98, you got a computer engineering qualification, a bachelor's and even a master's, okay? And after that, you got a job with Microsoft even, doesn't matter. And now, say after 20 years or 30 years, do you think you can still survive? Forget about working. You can even survive in the same organization or in any other organization with yourself, same qualification which you attained about, say, 30 years ago? Impossible. Why impossible? The field is such that once upon, until recently, even about few years ago also, you needed to upgrade yourself on a yearly basis. No longer. Then it became a monthly basis upgradation. No. Weekly basis upgradation. No. Nowadays, it's on a daily basis you have to upgrade yourself if you are in the field. Sometimes on an hourly basis because some new softwares and new hardwares are keeping on coming. So this is the kind of a scenario. This is the kind of the world where we have let ourselves into. Whether we like it or not, we just need to learn it. That's all. And then another thing is, you know, things called marketing skills. Marketing skills are no longer the same kind of marketing. I mean, like if marketing was what was marketing before COVID-19, during COVID-19, even one single business would not have survived. The moment COVID-19 and lockdown and all set on entire world was able to revive itself after the initial shock only because they invented new marketing, online trading. They started sending stuff to your home. And one more thing is teaching field, and of course, Dr. Ram may be aware of it also. Teaching field is no longer what it was 30 years ago. And 30 years ago, in fact, very senior teachers who have been teaching for a long time find it very difficult to survive in their profession unless and until they are able to upgrade their skills in teaching and learning. I don't say that their knowledge level has gone down. What I mean is their skill level, they have to upgrade. For example, your father or your grandfather, when he was teaching, your grandfather did not need a blackboard because the students were good listeners. Your dad would have needed a blackboard and you would have needed a whiteboard long time back. And some years back, only a laptop was okay. But now, not necessarily a laptop. Apart from the laptop, you need to know how to operate a tab and how to use even a smartphone to do teaching. You know why? Because there are people who are in remote villages who have got access to a phone. Some 2, 3 kids are sharing one same phone and then they are squeezing their neck to see what you are teaching. And so many changes have happened. So what we come out of all this is the desire to learn has not stopped. During the lockdown, when initially the schools closed down, in every part of the world, the kids were happy for some time because it's a hard-earned holiday for them from their point of view. Afterwards, they got so bored that the longing for their schools. You know why? It's not necessarily longing for the school. Their brain has been ideal for more than about quite idle for about couple of weeks or something like that. They don't like that anymore. The very young mind, they had the kind of a pressure to learn more and more and more. See, developing various.
Yeah, Dr. Raji, I would like you to sum up fast because
I am developing various multivariate skills throughout our employable years is very necessary. And of course, we need to know which are the new fields where more opportunities are there. Nursing, healthcare, pharmacies, alternative medicines, even alternative medicine. Demand is there in all this. And as I told you before, the world has not stopped functioning during COVID-19 simply because in some part of the world, at least, some people were lifelong learners. And now we are forced to use all these strategies for our sheer survival. So Let's enjoy lifelong learning. Thank you.
Oh, sorry to interrupt, Dr. Raji, but of course, since you are in teaching arena and you have a lot to share, but we have to just understand that the whole concept of lifelong learning is the skill that you mentioned very correctly, and of course, the common sense. The common sense implies to the experiences that we as a kid, uh, red light to stop, green light to go on, these small things, let people go, stand in the queue, wait for your turn, be polite. These things will definitely, as you mentioned many times, PBL, problem based learning, these things will never come to that stage. And you also touched the subject of nagging and the parents insisting the kids for the degree. Of course, education is just a formality as on the present day seen. Even if you travel to any part of the world, the first thing they will ask you, are you a graduate, are you a master's? So it is just a metric measure for a human, that okay, you have been, tried and tested in the heat, the degrees. I say it as degrees, the feverish degree that you have to go through the fever. So you have touched all the subjects from marketing to online and COVID and IATA and mindfulness and of course the pedagogy. Yeah, definitely you have more to say on that, but uh, it's coming back to the sense of the triple L is, do we adapt and do we ask our young ones to adapt, to learn? Of course, teaching was conveying and learning is an ongoing process. To enhance on this point, I will ask Mr. Arun to give his suggestions about what Dr. Ram had says given us in his PPT about uh, EER and pedagogy and andragogy and hutagogy, and of course with Dr. Raji's comments, to briefly introduce Mr. Arun. Uh, he is uh, he is a chartered accountant by profession, and he is the author of Codes Enrich, a very useful book, pocket book for daily life situations. Now he's turned philanthropist. He has a school called Gurukulam in Jharkhand for orphans. He has also initiated a hospital for the poor, and now he's turned coach and mentor, and he's much into contributing his knowledge. So, Mr. Arun, kindly enlighten us with your points that you have noted, what Dr. Ram and Dr. Raji has shared with us.
Information does not do the transformation. It is the application which does the transformation. Common sense is so uncommon. We may become very skillful by attending lots of courses, but we may not become human beings. All these great philosophers in the history, most of them I know, did not even go for any formal education. They did not go to school or college. And yet, whatever they gave to the world is a material for research. People do on one small aspect of this PhD, on one small aspect of whatever they have given. No, you can study only whatever exists. either in books or on internet or on some platform. You can only learn that. You cannot learn something beyond that. What about something which does not exist? How do you learn that? Is a question. Because the world will change from with that only, not by knowing. Today, 100 people know whatever is existing. Tomorrow, 200 people will know whatever is existing. Tomorrow, 10 million people will know whatever exists. But then, that whatever exists, that library, that knowledge, how is that going to expand? That will not expand if we take this approach of skill improvement. There are, say, limited skills, say 2,000 skills, 5,000 skills, 10,000 skills, whatever. But what about something new? Who will become Einstein? Who will become any other researcher? So that creativity, that newness, that out of the mind approach will not come from this kind of education. Because this is very repetitive, very monotonous, very whatever exists, you're trying to learn that. And even if you don't learn, nothing will happen. The world will not become a poor place. Maybe you become poor, but the world will not become a poor place if you don't learn. But if you miss out on one Einstein, the world will miss out a lot. You miss out on one Shakespeare, world will miss out a lot. Now that today's man has become so busy, he's made his life so complicated, he does not have time to think something new. He does not have time for creativity. His lifestyle is different. We are busy from morning till night. And when you talk about any of these researchers, any of these people who could find something extraordinary, they did not lead this kind of lifestyle. You need that meditative approach. You need that consciousness, that awareness, so that you probe into something new. "30 years ago, if somebody said that there'll be a small device, somebody will be holding on the other side, and if you speak in that, the other person can hear, people might have called you a lunatic. But somebody made it happen. Somebody made it happen. Now, that creativity will not come from the kind of education what we are talking about. New findings or new disease, or even the old disease. We could not even find solution to many of the diseases like cancer and all other. We could not even find till today. Because we have been following only what is written in the book. And books have a limitation. Even your teacher has a limit. Teacher will teach you whatever he knows. He cannot teach you beyond that. Internet can show you whatever exists in the internet, not beyond that. But somebody has to go beyond all this and find out something new so that the whole world will get enriched. When one person gets a Nobel Prize, how much richness to the world comes in one go? You cannot imagine. That person may have worked for 20 years, 25 years, whatever, and he comes out with something new which nobody knows, nowhere it exists. And that enriches the whole world instantly. But when you learn something what is already existing, you only become, it only enables you to get a job, not beyond that. Or it enables you to become a teacher, nothing beyond that. So if we want to be great human beings, we have to think our thinking pattern, our way we lead life. We are too much busy into our day-to-day affairs. We don't have time to step back and see life from a different perspective. We see the unseen. We can realize something which others cannot realize. Now, for that, we have to give a different kind of atmosphere and environment to our children. We can't tell them to only read books and books and more books. We have to allow them to go to the field and play also. Most of the parents don't want their children to play. They want their children only to study from morning to night. If your son studies only from morning to night, he will become at best a good student. That's all, nothing beyond that. He cannot become a genius. He cannot become a genius. He cannot be somebody who will find something amazing, will come out with something which does not exist in this world. And world will not become a poor place if we have lesser number of students or more number of students. Only thing, more job seekers, more workers we are producing. And when it comes to acquiring knowledge, one more thing I would like to say, there are two kinds of people. One is, for instance, you are a heart specialist. If you are trying to learn more about liver, are you going to help people? No, not at all. You're a heart specialist. People will come for heart problem only to you. You're trying to study a little more about liver. It is not going to help you. Maybe you learn about yoga, you learn about pranayam, you learn about meditation. Maybe it will help you. So it's like broadening your knowledge or deepening your knowledge. In certain areas, it is a deepening of knowledge that will help. You're a heart specialist. Now you become a better heart specialist. You become even better heart specialist. You become the best heart specialist in the world. Yes, that is required. Not learning too many things. He learns this also, he learns this also, he learns to play piano also. No. He's diluting his talent. People will not appreciate that. He is a specialist. He's trying to become a general physician by learning everything. In the same field, if he's learning more and more and more, if he's deepening his knowledge, then it is relevant. But yes, in certain areas, it could be broadening of knowledge. You are into entertainment industry. Yes, you also learn this, you also learn this, you also learn this, you also entertain like this. Fine, that may work. But in most of the areas, it is a deepening of knowledge which is required. You are a heart specialist, focus on that only. I am a dentist, I should focus only on my stream. In today's world, I see people trying to learn everything. Now, how does that help them? I fail to understand. It's like jack of all, master of none. Because if somebody invites you, even for a seminar, to speak on something, they want to know your specialization. They want to know your strength. They want to know that, yes, this is where you have studied, this is where you have practiced, this is where you have experienced, this is where you have researched. They want to know that. So what I'm trying to say, that you have to come out of your comfort zone. You have to change your attitude. You must not be averse to change. Most of us are very rigid about change. We don't want to adapt. We talk about change, but when we don't want to accept change. As Dr. Raji said, when PBL was introduced, nobody is willing to take the change. Theoretically, every one of us will speak about change. Change is good, but then we don't want to change. So the attitude, first of all, before we go for learning, that attitude of learning has to be there. That positivity of attitude has to be there. We all are rushing for various institutions. And we don't have that attitude. We are trying to mechanically understand everything, get the passing marks, get the certificate, and we think it's done. It's not that. We cannot adopt that into our life. So information will not do the transformation. It is the application which will do. Whatever you have learned, how do you apply it in real life? If you don't apply, then everything is a waste. Everything will go with you to the grave. Whatever you know, you are an expert in something. I mean, everything will go to the grave if you are not applying it, if you're not teaching it, if you're not writing it in a book, if you're not passing it to the next generation. It's waste. So what I say, change your attitude. Think of giving something new to this world. Not only think about how to get a job, how to make some money. That is the easiest aspect. Trust me. And if you can become somebody who can give this world something new, something startling, something amazing, something which does not exist, then yes, generations, people will remember you even after a few thousand years. Thank you.
Very, very precise, Mr. Arun. It made me think our age-old ancestors many generations ago, when they must have seen peacock and turtle. They came into a practice of that yoga and making it Mayurasana and Kumrasana, which is beneficial for the human body. So that definitely is learning. Even in Chinese, they have this monkey kung fu, which is the complete traditional art of martial arts. So that is learning, and that has been practiced from thousands of years. As very well said, application of transformation.
That does the transformation. Yes.
Yeah, application that does. So again, I remind myself of our first topic, mindfulness, where awareness plays a very important role. We have to be aware. We have to be very precise. We have to accept. We have to be attentive, and of course, the positive attitude. So many A's. So it's again coming back to the common sense of living and surviving. We have to teach our young generation Z to survive. Nagging into only studies will only benefit, as Mr. Arun said, for jobs. It's nothing special. Being genius, making a legacy for years to come, and if we contribute a bit into that direction, we will definitely be remembered somewhere down the line. So we have taken a long time session this time, so I will not ask. Dr. Rajiv, would you like to say something?
Yeah.
Okay. Coming back to the finer aspects, as Mr. Arun mentioned. Dr. Raji, would you like to add on to any of the aspect, Mr. Arun, you think is more precise to the situation?
So what I feel in what he said is the very awareness he talked about, which I think is the baseline for any learning. You see, I just want to add only one point. Whatever he has said is complete by itself. Having the common sense and the very basic awareness that we actually lack something or we actually need to learn itself is the starting point for learning. It is the triggering point for learning. The moment we sacrifice that, see, the moment I say, oh my God, I already hold a PhD, what do you want me to learn further? There ends my learning at all. PhD is not an insurance that I have learned for my entire life. If by God's grace, he chooses to make me live until 90 or something like that. It is just a launching pad, a starting point, that's all. So if a person has a PhD, it simply proves that he or she is capable of researching. And it also simply proves that maybe he or she will not attempt to do plagiarism. That's all it means. It simply means we have a brain
which will allow us to research and find things more. That's all. It does not guarantee anywhere that a guy who has attained PhD has already reached moksha or he has reached the top of Everest. Not true. If anybody else speaks this, maybe we'll think that they are pointing out us. I'm also a doctorate. I'm also sharing the same thing, and Dr. Ram will agree with me. See, the day we got our PhD, we considered that it has been certified that our brain is capable of doing research. That's all. And afterwards, only the real learning started. And now we understand, oh my God, the moment we start learning, we'll keep on understanding that there is never an end to this learning. So it will make us a little bit more humble. So lifelong learning is the best medicine for people who are too proud. It will make you very humble, very humble. I learned quite a lot from 10-year-olds and 15-year-olds and even 3-year-olds. I'm amazed at their knowledge. Seriously. And many senior citizens also surprise me nowadays. I mean, like they are continuously learning. As he said, you see, learning yoga and learning Tai Chi in Singapore, I mean, like they have made it as an integral part of their life. You go and see in the ECPs, you will know that all these men and women have put that exercise or whatever learning as a priority in their life. So all these snippets should teach us that all of us are capable of doing it. Only thing is, some of us acknowledge it and other people don't even realize it is learning. That's all.
Correctly mentioned. Health-wise, definitely it's a most important issue as of today. So learning anything to remain healthy definitely is useful and a less a headache to family members who definitely get bothered. So just to mention again, Mr. Arun said deepening learning into the same arena. That should be the priority. And wish to ask Mr. Dr. Ram, do you want to add on something to what Mr. Arun said?
Yeah, both of them had given a wonderful insight when Mr. Arunji is mentioning the lifelong learning is not only the boundary one manner, it's a kind of open-mindedness to accept and envisage or engage certain kind of learning for their lifestyle improvement or life achievement. Because as he mentioned about the researcher who had found theories or concepts or any kind of equipment or inventing anything, that is mostly exceptional. That is mostly exceptional. When you are counting on them among the population, it is very, very exceptional. Like a priest, he is delivering the speech. It is also, all people cannot become priest. All people cannot become an inventor. All people may not become a ruler. So we cannot think about that. That is exceptional, extraordinary. But what we are thinking, the lifelong learning is going to accomplish a person or personality, how much they are making the improvement in the current living strategies by achieving certain kind of great things, what they wanted to have in their hand, have in their life, have in their atmosphere. This is very common. As he mentioned, the common sense need to be applicable. There are people who are below than the normal life. They are not leading the normal life. They are below average. They are very much suffering. They are very poor. They are very poor in relationship maintenance. They are very poor in technological procurement. They are very poor in engaging the jobs because they are run out from the employment category. So now we have to think about that, how the majority of the population can equip and engage well in this kind of task, in this kind of challenges. That's why the lifelong learning is a kind of way, because as Dr. Raj rightly mentioned, when we got the highest degree like master's or PhD or doctorate of science or doctorate of literature or any other manner, it is not the ceiling. It is not the condition to seal your studies and ambitions to grow further by the way of equipping you, engaging you to learn further and further, where your knowledge is poor, where your capacity is poor, where you wanted to embrace yourself to make a further leading or further capacity to hold in your hand. We are not master in everything in the world. There are experts available, but they are very much expert in their particular field. A maths teacher is expert in the maths. A computer scientist is expert in the computer science. They may not think about the history. They may not think about the political science. They may not think about the other aspects of the learning. So the single person may not become a mastery in everything in the world. But as he mentioned, the deep learning is the criteria. They have to develop their learning aspects into very much deepen into the conditions, and they have to go with the criteria or sectors. Then they can achieve the great thing, because people are looking for the person who are having the victorious capacity, who are very knowledgeable, who are very much caring, who are very much sharing. So all people here, we are all experienced more than a decade or 2 decades or something. So that is the way we have something to share. We have something to care. We have something to nourish and cherish the community. So we are not mastering in everything. There may be a lot pitfall with me, pitfall with others. But we are improving by listening, by attending, by gaining some kind of knowledge or something. The next one is the adaptability and the practicality. When you want to know something, when you want to achieve the thing, it is not only knowing, it is practicing. It is the way how much you are adapting, how much you are engaging in your day-to-day life, that will only make the magic transformation. So the government wanted to balance the ecosystem by the way of workforces. Where is the gap? A teacher wanted to leave the job of teaching, but she wanted to engage something else in the service sector. If the service sector person wanted to come back for teaching atmosphere, so the transformation of the career skills needed. A lawyer, he may not be a lawyer for a long time in the court to deal the cases. Sometimes he wanted to become a consultant, but he may be poor in sales and marketing. He may be poor in financial controls. He may be poor in team building. He may be poor in doing business. We don't know. Even a physician, also he wanted to start something, the drugstore or any other materials, equipments wanted to purchase. It's a lot gaps are available. That's why I'm telling each and every person is not mastering everything what they want to have in their hand. But it's a condition, the community building, the team building, communication, the ability of correct communication, decision making, creative thinking. There are leadership qualities, that is the learning ability. If a leader cannot make himself to continuously learning, he may not be a leader. He may not be a good leader. He cannot flourish, or he cannot help the community forever. So that is the way. It's not only curricular learning, it's not only the extracurricular or add-on value education, but social learning is coming to play the role as of now. We know earlier the traditional way also. A priest is giving a speech. A priest is delivering a spiritual speech. He is also providing the social learning. The political leader is giving a national speech, or a particular person, eminent person, come to speak in a public corridor. It is also a TV panel speeches or a conference speech. Yesterday she conducted a conference. So that is the way we have to engage the community, the social learning. It is the self-enabled, self-enterprising learning. So we must need to embrace all these three categories are important for the lifelong learning. Whether you are a child, whether you are an adult, whether you are in a social person, the peer learning, experiential learning, or problem-based learning. Why we want to go with the problem-based learning? Because the lacking of personality or the solution provider for problems are getting very less. The people never care about the conditions, never care about the solution provisions. So the companies or the situations, many people they are thinking who are able to support by the correct solutions to provide for the problem solving scenario. So that kind of way. And next one is the leadership kind of attitude. the leadership and people management, LTM, that is also available in the OPO skill qualifications. Lacking of leadership kind of capacity holder. They are caring about themselves only, but they are not caring about the surrounding communities, surrounding people. So we need these kind of skill sets, knowledge, skill sets, attitude. A single person or in the community definitely making the miracle or worth living. That is the way we have to embrace. Lifelong learning is the kind of corridor, kind of support for you, a kind of necessary provisions for you to engage and envisage for your lifetime achievements. That's the way. Until your last breath, you are. That's why the MOOC online courses, most of the courses are free. There is no certification. If you want to engage yourself to learn any subject, the Harvard Business School, Cambridge, Oxford, NUS, many eminent institutes all over the world, they're ready to share the knowledge. They're ready to make the open courses for everybody. It's a global scenario, global education. You can go thousands of topics available. You can get the tips and the tools or tactics or any kind of problem-based learning from any eminent topic, eminent persons. They are providing a lot and lot on notorious topics. That's the way the new era has started. So learning is for everyone. Learning is open for all people. There is no boundary or restrictions. Only your passion, your commitment, and your contributions are required. That's the way we have to think about it. Lifelong learning is going to change the miracle for the human community, making them embrace with the challenges and overcome with the attitude of the right capacity. Thank you so much.
Dr. Ram, you covered most of the aspects. I think all the aspects you covered, and with all the beautiful words and we say motivational speaking, definitely it is on our self initiation. To sum up fast, just ask Mr. Arun about what suggestion would you give to the millennials about self initiation education? Please unmute.
There are 5 parts of brain: left brain, right brain, frontal brain, rear brain, and midbrain. The education, whatever we are talking about, is only left brain. Now the 4 brains are left out. Till you don't enrich your all the 5 brains, you don't become a human being. You don't become human being. Secondly, there are 3 levels of brain: conscious mind, subconscious mind, and unconscious mind. You learn, whatever you learn goes to your conscious mind. So you're learning only when you're awake. You're learning only when you're going to school or college, because conscious mind is absorbing whatever you're learning. But we fail to understand, we fail to realize that subconscious mind, which is almost 9 times more in volume and million times more capable of learning. Now that learning does not happen. Subconscious learning, subconscious mind learning. And that can also happen. There are some people who are very smart. They're learning in the daytime through the conscious mind, and they're learning in the night when they're sleeping, then also they're learning. That is through their subconscious mind. Now these techniques are very advanced techniques which have been told by our rishis in yoga. Now most of the institutes, they're adopting to these techniques. They're sowing the seeds in the conscious mind, in the subconscious mind, through the conscious mind, so that even when the child is sleeping, he's learning something. He sleeps in the night, in the next morning when he wakes up, he's a little more intelligent. So you see, mind is enormous, capacity is enormous. What is the difference between me and Einstein? I'm using probably 2% of my brain. He used 7 to 8% of his brain. That's the difference. That's why he became Einstein. So this 5 parts of the brain, we have to enrich all the 5 parts. Otherwise, the real you won't become a complete human being. And 3 levels of brain, you must have an ability so that all the 3 levels are learning. So this is what I want to say. This is there in our ancient science. This is there in our yogic textbooks. But the modern science is yet to adopt in full measure. Of course, certain institutions are there in America which are utilizing all this. They're enriching your all the five brains. So what I'm trying to say, let's look at our ancient rishis and all. What have they prescribed for acquiring knowledge? What have they prescribed for you to become a human being? Let us look at that and take advantage of that. Thank you.
5 brains. Biologically, I remember cerebellum, and medulla. There are 3 brains. Now I have to find the other 2 brains which have the biological names, and 3 levels: conscious, subconscious, unconscious. So with all the great sharings and huge input, definitely people who wish to understand more have to rewind and see again and again. To sum up, lifelong learning is a form of self-initiated education that is focused on personal development. It is you and only you who is hungry for something to do. While there is no standardized definition for lifelong learning, it has generally been taken to refer to learning that occurs outside of a formal education institute, such as school, university, or corporate training. So, lifelong learning does not necessarily have to restrict itself to informal learning. However, it is described as being voluntary with the purpose of achieving personal fulfillment. This means to achieve this could result in informal or formal education. So we have touched a huge subject. Hope this can give some help to people who are a bit confused with why lifelong learning and why not lifelong learning. And definitely we will go to the second aspect of lifelong learning in our next talk show. This is only about getting equipped ourselves with the best surviving instinct and getting to the best facility as of economically connected. So with this, I wish our viewers, our well-wishers to kindly comment on our talk, kindly share our talk, and like and subscribe. So with this, we say bye and see you soon in our next talk show. Thank you.